Hello and welcome to Down the Slope. As ever, I'm Ewan, and once again we are joined by Greg and Harry. How you doing, lads?
Yay!
I'm okay.
And this week we're also joined by Hibs fan YouTuber Darren Phil Thompson. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing good, mate. Obviously, I wasn't feeling that well yesterday, but I'm pretty much all right today. So
Good.
it's good for to be on your podcast.
No, well, thanks for joining us. Hopefully we don't take up too much of your time. So, right, there's only one place to start, unfortunately. Obviously, when we reached out to you, Dan, we were hoping this was going to be a lot more positive of an episode, I'd imagine, and it probably will be. Harry, we'll start with you. We'll go first half first. Right, what happened at Hampden on Saturday night, and what did you make of the first half of the game?
Well, the thing I said last week is I didn't really care about the result. I just want to go to Hampden and I want us to put a good performance in. So after the game, even if we get beat, we can kind of hold our hands up and be like, look, we tried our best. The luck just wasn't there for us. The first half, if the game ended at halftime, I genuinely think that we couldn't have had that many complaints. I think the Murphy moment, obviously one of the worst misses just because of the moment that it is in our lifetime. But I think going into halftime, I don't think we could have said Jack Ross picked a terrible team. The tactics were all wrong. I think that it genuinely wasn't getting the rub of the green. But for me, I think you could tell we weren't getting the rub of the green, and I don't think that we were going to get it the way it was going. So for me, the team had to have a reaction, and that's when the manager needs to step in and change something drastically to try and mix it up and try and change the approach, in my opinion. And that didn't happen until we went 2-0 down in the second half. So, obviously we'll touch on it later, but I think Jack Ross, from the first half, I don't think he could have done anything different. I'm not blaming him for that, but his lack of reaction did really irritate me. And then the lack of impact that his reaction had on the game was even more frustrating. But yeah, I thought that Jackson Irvine won everything in the air again. He was probably the only player that got above a 6 in terms of rate, and Josh Doig I thought was all right, but the rest of the team just weren't there. Cadden, Boyle, Nisbet. Nisbet, one up top, he just doesn't play. The rest of the team does all right, but Nisbet just doesn't exist. It's just frustrating. Personally, I didn't understand why Marciano came back in the team as opposed to Macy. I thought Macy played well. Marciano probably couldn't have done much for the goals, but when it comes to conceding set pieces, we've not conceded a set piece with Macy and goals. So it just felt like a daft change for me, considering the size of the boys at St Johnstone have got at the back and the threat they hold from set pieces. But yeah, I'm I'm trying to timid my views because I know that we're going to get quite a barrage of untethered hatred from Greg. I am very, like I've said a few times, I've not been that emotional over Hibs games this season. I've kind of felt difficult, but I was genuinely wounded. It's the first time after a game, even after the Hearts game, I wasn't that bothered. I was just I wasn't there, who cares? But after that game, I was in a terrible mood on Saturday night, and that doesn't normally happen with me. I was gutted. I thought it was shocking. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can move on well, but I'll pass on and let other people get more raging than me.
Yes, so Dan, I'll come to you. So obviously, Hibs had a strong sort of opening 30 minutes. We really dominated the game. I don't think we were playing like unbelievable football. I don't know if you'd agree with that. And we only really had one real chance. Really, obviously, I know Jackson Irvine had a header that just flicked past, but he was like 16 yards out. His header that hit the crossbar. There's like half chances that Jackson Irvine's done well to make so well of them. The only chance that we really created was the two chances that Jamie Murphy had, which again actually came from really bad defending from St Johnstone, because Gogic's ball came in and they failed to deal with it, and it fell to Jamie Murphy. And what did you make of that sort of first half an hour from Hibs? And then was there a sense of inevitability after we missed the chances?
I think obviously we set Jack Ross set up the team well. We played very well for the first 35 minutes. But I think the first goal was always going to be crucial. If Jamie Murphy had scored that goal, it probably would have turned out to be a completely different game. But yeah, I don't know why Macy didn't start now, considering Marciano's been out for how long, lads?
About a month, I think.
He's been out for a month, and he comes in. He's probably fit, but not that fit. I mean, I don't know why Macy wasn't in, but look, I still back Jack Ross. I mean, at the end of the day, he can only pick the team. He can only give the instructions. It's up to the lads to go out and put a strong performance in. But, I mean, to get beat 3-0 by St Johnstone, that probably flattered them. It could have been a lot more. I think if we scored, it could have been a totally different game, but I don't know what you boys think.
Yeah. So obviously, let's say we'll stick to the first half just now. We will get on to Jack Ross. I think between the four of us, we're all probably at varying levels of what the sort of future holds for him. But Greg, again, so just 35 minutes, very good corner in, I have to say, a very good set piece in from, was it Conway that put it in. Poach just gets entirely stuck under the ball, doesn't go off the ground, and it's a great header for Jason Kerr that Marciano can't do anything with. And just on touching on what Harry mentioned with Matt Macy, I went back and watched the highlights because I wanted to see from me that I knew the second set piece the goalie couldn't get anywhere with it, but obviously by corner sometimes. But I don't think even Macy's getting anywhere near it. It was a really, really good ball in, like whipped into the back post. But Poitras just gets caught underneath it, and there was definitely, I mean, Harry's message in our group chat after 25 minutes summed it up. Like, we were going to lose that game after you missed eight chances. What did you make of the first half hour and then the goal?
I think Darren's right. You know, we're on top and we didn't make it count. And how many times have we said that this season? You know, when we're on top, we need to make it count. Not clinical enough again, and Jamie Murphy gets a chance that you just put the laces through. I think he's probably done the right thing for the second one, trying to loft over the goalie, but he's not got enough pace on it. But the first shot is ridiculous. There's no excuse for that.
I think he's trying to go back into the corner where it came from, which I think is the right thing to do.
I think he's trying to be a bit too cute with it, though.
Yeah.
I disagree with you. I thought the first one I didn't mind, because for me the main thing was getting it on target. It's the fact he's got a rebound. I think just smash that as hard as you can.
I think the first one is unforgivable where he is. He's not far out from the goal. He should just be putting his laces through it. And not a lot else you can say about that. It's come at him a perfect speed, great pace, and that's teed up for getting the laces right through it. For me, it's not a place shot.
Is Jamie Murphy right-footed or left-footed? I know he plays left-footed, but plays on the left. So that's
well, I mean, to be honest,
the ball's coming across him, so I can see. The only way he can use his laces, I think, is if he lets it come across him onto his left.
Well, he scored against Dundee in the cup with his left foot.
No, absolutely.
So he's more than capable.
I think, I can see what he's tried to do on both of them. Like, the first one, he's tried to... But everyone's momentum's going that way, and he's tried to put it back in the other corner, and he's just... It looks like it's hit his heel, and he's just totally mishit it. And then the second one, again, like, look at what Kevin Nisbet done at Celtic Park. You can lift it, but lift it hard.
Yeah.
And
he's
then
not got enough pace on it.
He's just floated it, and it's just floated onto the bar. You know what I mean? It's not because even if he hits it with pace and it hits the bar, it probably goes in.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I mean, I think for me, neither of them, both of them are inexcusable. Darren, what were you going to say there?
I think if that was, say, the ball came to Nisbet, 9 times out of 10, that's in the back of the net.
I think there's no doubt Nisbet scores one of them, if not both. You know what I mean? Like, I think he would dispatch the first one, no bother. But Jamie Murphy's a good player. He's a player that we've enjoyed watching this season. Don't think he's been great recently. Obviously, he's going to be out on Wednesday night as well, and I think rightly so, even if he could play against Rangers. But for me, like, we were like seeing people saying, "Oh, Hibs are scintillating, we dominated the game, but we weren't that good. We weren't we were more comfy than what I thought we were going to be." But we're talking about creating chance after. Tell me one other chance in the first half, other than Jamie Murphy's, well, just one chance, because obviously the second one doesn't come if he scores the first one, where you thought we should have scored there. Like, Jackson Irvine does unbelievably well with a header, but really, you're not going to score are you counting a header for 16 yards?
No.
As
I
like,
think
have you?
I think you're just being reactive, to be honest. If we were 1-0 up at halftime, you would never have a single complaint about that first half.
No,
if
I
Murphy
wouldn't
scored
have.
and we went in 1-0 up, you would have said we played great football first half. It was exciting to watch. We're happy being 1-0 up. I didn't think the football.
But the-
I don't think the football was wrong the first half. I think the lack of finishing
No,
was the problem.
I don't. Yeah, don't get me wrong. We played well, but I don't think it was I don't think we were playing exciting football in the first. I thought we were good and dominating the game. Don't get me wrong. I thought we were playing well and really controlling the game, but I didn't feel like we were cutting St Johnstone open. And I think we
It's hard to cut people
would
open
have
when they're
right.
sitting 10 back.
True.
Because their tactic
True.
was sit in and then hit us on the counter attack and get set pieces, and it worked a charm for them.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing.
So
St
anyway,
Johnstone didn't play well that game. We played crap. That's the thing that hurts so much. Because first half, I think Hibs played well and St Johnstone played crap, and they went 1-0 in at half time. Second half, they played crap again, but we just played worse.
Yeah. Aye.
Bringing
So,
it,
I mean,
bringing it back to the goal for St Johnstone, you can see it coming every week. You know, we have 4 corners. We don't do enough for them. Nowhere near enough. They have 1 corner. Porteous is caught in no man's land. He's trying to feel about for where his man is. He's totally lost him, and Jason Kerr's never going to miss for there, is he? Great head of the ball. He gets up. He's up well before Porteous even thinks about where he is, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And it's so clever, but it's so simple and effective, and it's undone us. And all the chances we've had in the first half, I say loosely, the opportunities we've had in the first half are all now gone, and now you're looking to pick yourself up. And where was the reaction? There was no reaction at all. And this is what hurts. You know, if you go 1 down in a semi-final, you should be putting everything into getting back into the game at least.
Yeah. Right, so St Johnstone score in the 35th, 36th minute. So we've got 10 minutes until half time, and it was pretty much a non-event until that point. Hibs didn't really. I think we still had more of the ball than St Johnstone, but the only sort of thing that we mustered after that was again Jackson Irvine. I think he broke into the box and done well to get a shot away, but weak foot, it just tickled into Xander Clark's arm. And Harry, you touched on it earlier on. You were spot on. Look, and I said to you at half time in the group chat because I knew that Greg was already fuming. I said, this can't be pinned on Jack Ross because we did play well. Like I know, like we were. Like I said, I don't think. Like again, I'm not going to sit here and say we didn't play well because we lost the game. We played well for 35 minutes, but I'm not going to sit there and say I was exhilarated with the football we were watching. We played well. Like you know what I mean. I'm not going to get carried away one way or the other on the first 35 minutes. But even because we conceded 2 goals for set plays, I know Greg. We've conceded as many goals for crosses against St Johnstone as we have done the full season. Like across the board this season, we've actually been really good at defending set plays. I know it doesn't feel like it, but I think Celtic when Laxalt scored, and I can't remember what the other one was from a corner, but I seen the stat after the game. We'd only conceded 2 goals from corner. In fact, I think it might even been crosses full stop this season. And then we've obviously conceded 2 at the weekend. But half time, I think the 3 of us and Darren, you were probably the same. You were, but how the fuck are we 1-0 down here? And you expected a reaction at the start of the second half. For me, I would have got rid of Jamie Murphy at half time. And I don't mean just for his misses. I didn't think he was bringing anything to the game. I thought that getting Doidge on would have been the right thing to do at that point. And to be honest, sticking with the formation that we had, because as far as I could see, Boyle was the one playing as the middle of the front three. Nisbet was sort of off the left and Murphy off the right. So I thought you could just bring Doidge on, keep Nisbet sort of off into the left, keep Boyle off into the right, and that would have been better. But 4 minutes into the second half, Darren, again, another set play, and that kills the game, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, it's like when there's a set piece, we crumble, and I don't know what it is. I mean, it's like, I don't think anyone's controlling. I know Paul Hanlon does it. You can see him telling people where to go. But it's different from Hanlon telling them. to them actually doing what he's saying.
So do you think we're lacking a leader, not necessarily at the back, but someone, an organiser, whether that be in central midfield or whoever, a leader in the pack that organises us at set plays?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Paul Hanlon, you can see him when there was a corner telling people where to go.
Yep.
But then it's like Hanlon's done the right thing, but then it's the boys that are like in no man's land, and then we're 2-0 down within 4 minutes of the second half.
Yeah. So Harry, 49th minute, stupid foul and a nothing area of the park. Chris Kane holds up well. Jackson Irvine gives away. It is a foul. You know what I mean? It's not needed, but it's a foul. But how often when you're watching games of football, in fact, Hibs actually scored from pretty much the same area against Kelly last weekend, but how often do you see teams, like you hear commentators say it's a hard area for like to get the ball into the box to do anything with it? And Hibs are marking very much zonally, sort of just inside the 18-yard box, but you can see, even before it lines up, if they get a good ball in there, the St Johnstone players have a run on the Hibs centre half, and we've obviously worked on that in training to say if there's free kicks in the sort of middle third of our, like the sort of middle third just inside our half, we take this line, because I thought we were quite a high line as well. I thought there was quite a lot of space behind us to drop the ball into, which I can't remember the player who done it, but it was a very good ball in, and Murray Davidson blocks off Paul Hanlon. Legally, it's not a foul by any means. He just stands there. Hanlon can't get to the ball. Rooney's got a good 2-3 steps on everyone else and absolute bullets ahead into the top corner. Having just conceded from a set play in the first half, is that a worry that maybe we worked on it obviously in training to be zonal, but surely you want to take order and just like get man to man? Like, how much of a worry is it that in the space of 10 minutes really game time we've conceded for 2 set plays?
I think, to be honest, it just goes down to disorganisation, because the players that were supposed to be marking them on both corners is both your centre backs. And if you're looking at it, you put your centre backs on the players that you think is the biggest threat, because they're the players that you trust the most. And then they've both let us down when it means most. Like, as we've said, with crosses this season, they've been great. You can't really knock them with that. But every foundation they set up at the start of the season is starting to crumble. And it started towards the end of December. And that's why I said at the start of the transfer window, I don't care who we sign. I just want a centre-back to put some competition in there. Because that's the thing. Those two, they played, I don't think either of them played well the other day. And both of them are starting on Wednesday. And they're starting the game after that, and the game after that, and the game after that. Because they can't be dropped. It's ridiculous. If players put in bad performances, they shouldn't be played. And speaking of bad performances, it's not necessarily bad. But Kevin Nisbet is the only thing we have going forward at the moment. And the system that we played doesn't suit him. He just doesn't get involved in the game. It's nowhere near enough touches. So at halftime, you need to change it. Put Doidge on just so Nisbet's got someone to give him the ball. Because that's the only like Doidge has been terrible this season. But the reason that him and Nisbet work so well together is because he gets Nisbet the ball and Nisbet does his thing. And I think we're focusing on the set piece. But defensively, it was a shambles. And then I can't even mind the third goal off the top of my head at the moment. But I just crappy, just crap.
Yeah, I think the third goal, before we go on to that, we need to talk about the set piece. I mean, you're looking for someone in there to take responsibility, take charge of it. If Hanlon's been blocked off, then that's it. But you've still got the man marking the scorer there, who should be tracking his run. Even if you need to not hold him back.
Nobody. That's what I'm saying. Nobody. We weren't man marking though. He wasn't the only player that wasn't. If it wasn't him, it could have been someone else. If the ball hit in, every player. I think someone was touched tight at the back post. I can't remember who it was, but the rest of them, there was 3 St Johnstone players all lined up just outside our 18-yard box. We were just inside it, and all of them had runs on our centre backs. That's what I mean. There was no man-to-man marking in the main threat. There was there was a boy right at the sort of far side of the box that I can't remember who it was, but they were man tight. The rest, it was just like.
I mean, how can anyone looking at that? So how can anyone look at that and think, oh, this is fine because we've already conceded a goal for a set piece about 10 minutes ago in game time, and now we're going to let them have a run at us again when we're vulnerable at the back at the best, and then you're 2-0 down, and then you're looking about thinking, oh, who's going to step up here?
And that brings, like, so from the second goal, first sub, 50th minute, Chris Cadden goes off. Now, I've seen Cadden get a lot of stick on Twitter and stuff, and he was playing right wing back. We didn't really feed the wing backs because we still sort of had players wide up front, and he's not played a game since November. Like, I don't think you can.
So harsh.
I don't think we should have. I don't know why I don't think he should have even been playing. I think play Jackson Irvine because he just played 70 minutes last weekend. You know what I mean? Like, that can be enough to get someone going. Even play Marciano because he is your number one. But I just didn't. I didn't understand why Cadden played. But also, like I said, I've seen people give him stick. But in the first half, Hibs played well, and I don't think, like I said earlier, like, would your pinpoint? The only person that I felt didn't play well in the first half was Jamie Murphy, and it wasn't just the chance. I just didn't think he gave us anything at all. And then so Cadden comes off and Doidge comes on, and we moved to a 4-4-2. And I just wanted to touch on something that I sent on to you guys. A St Johnstone fan page done analysis, and he looked at when we played them at Easter Road. We got back to 1-1. And we switched to a flat 4-4-2, and that gave St Johnstone the full emphasis again. So why have we done it again on Saturday? Now, I understand he probably felt like something needed to change, and like I say, I would have Doidge on at half time, but to go to a 4-4-2 and then 15 minutes later goes back to 3-5-2, like when against St Johnstone at Easter Road, we got back into the game, switched to a 4-4-2 and handed St Johnstone all the momentum again. Sorry, we got to did we even go 2-1 ahead in that game? No. We went back to 2-1 down, and at 1-1 we switched to 4-4-2, and St Johnstone went ahead again. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I when Doidge came on, I just thought we would go 3-5-2, Boyle right wing back.
Well, I mean,
changed the full formation, and we did not create another chance in the second half.
I thought that's what we would have done. I mean, I don't know how many times Jack Ross has to go 4-4-2. Like, can he not play anything else? Because when you go 4-4-2 against St Johnstone, they're going to run rings around you. And that's just a fact. And we've seen that happen already this season, but he's not learning. And then, touching on the interview he had, for me, the guys...
And we'll get to that.
So he's been asked if he's done anything wrong in the second half. For me, going 4-4-2 is criminally wrong. Why not put Boyle? I mean, for me, Boyle should have been starting at right wing back from the off. Cadden isn't fit, and he's thrown Cadden at the deep end, and now Cadden's confidence is probably going to be shot to bits because he's probably not felt like he's had a great game. So go to 3-5-2, put Doidge and Nisbet up front, try and get a wee bit about them. You know, we didn't test them in the second half at all because we couldn't get the midfield battle. And then, to add insult to injury, brings on two boys that have been out for months. Scott Allen's been out for a lot longer. He brings them on and expects them to change the game. Like, that is horrendous.
So, Darren, the third goal was a shambles. 63rd minute. At this point, we've only made the one sub. And Jamie Murphy, again, unfortunately, it's not but he doesn't track Rooney into the box. He puts a really good ball across the back post. Hanlon's covering for the cutback. Porteous has got the striker man-to-man in the box, and Paul McGinn's sleeping at the back post, and Conway gets in behind him. Did that just sum up that goal? Just sum up the second half totally for Hibs?
I think so. Now, obviously, touching back on when Porteous didn't cover, was it for the second goal?
The first goal, Porteous let his man go, and now, the second one.
He's done that a couple of times this season, just been sweeping. It's the same as when he let the ball bounce against. What team was that again?
Oh, I know when you ended up like putting the dodgy pass back to the goalkeeper. And
is it the Hamilton game you're talking about, bud?
Yeah, I think it was.
He thinks it back to the keeper for some reason.
No, but mind, he lets the ball bounce and he lets it.
You're talking about the Livy game with
Aye.
Him and
Oh,
Hanlon
yeah,
both
yeah,
let it bounce.
yeah.
Can go on for days, guys. He's been doing it for
I
months.
know there's been that many. Like,
There's
We
like,
just I've
like,
pinpointed a home game. Greg's pinpointed Hamilton, and it's not even the one we're looking for. Oh, Jesus.
the thing is, he should be, I know he's young, but he should be more awake at the back when he's defending. He shouldn't be letting the ball bounce. He shouldn't be letting the ball even come anywhere near their player.
Yeah.
And then when he doesn't like go and like defend it, he's then putting pressure on Marciano or Macy.
Yeah, exactly. And it just, I think you see when people say a goalkeeper coming out and collecting crosses puts confidence into your defence. Well, I think equally, your defenders clearing balls and dealing with them comfortably breeds confidence in the goalkeeper, because if the goalkeeper's constantly having to deal with bounce balls back to him, dodgy back passes, then it's going to shred your goalkeeper's confidence as well. Harry, that third goal, was that just the epitome of the second half? And then after you spoke about the third goal, we're going to touch on, Greg mentioned Jack Ross's interview. So did that third goal sum up the lack of fight, the lack of desire, the lack of, quite honestly, interest? I didn't think Hibs looked interested in the second half. We had no patterns of play. We just started launching it. We didn't win second balls. Did that third goal just sum up the full game for the 35th minute onwards?
I couldn't mind the goal, but I think I just blocked it out of my mind because as you started describing it a wee bit earlier, I didn't care if you seen me laugh because I was like, that's what happened. Because what do you call it? Mr. Fantastic, he's been consistent all season. We Paul McGinn, he just decided no to do anything. He was like, no, he can have a goal. I know. We've had Hanlon mess up. All right, that's a bit of a shame. So Poaches has messed up. Nah, I'm not having the centre backs get thrown under the bus. Let them get a goal. So you know what? At least it was a collective team effort in being shit together. There wasn't one person being crap. There wasn't two. It was every single one of them, apart from Jackson Irvine, was pish. Can I just say, because by the time we come back to me, we'll probably moved on for the game. I think it was very unfair from Jack Ross putting McGuinness and Allen on the pitch. I don't think there was any need for it.
I remember we're going to come to that, talking about Jack Ross's interview.
You know, paying attention here as well, Harry, as well as.
No, he said we were talking about Jack Ross's interview. He never mentioned players getting thrown under the bus for no reason. But I know you're right. That goal did sum up the game. It was just heartless. That's like I messaged you in the group chat. There was 2 St Johnstone players in the box, and including the keeper, there was 6 players. And they scored. It's embarrassing.
I think also for the third goal was that Hanlon turned around to Doig and had a go at him.
Well, I think I couldn't. I watched the highlights and Hanlon was going off his dinger, which again, rightly so. He's done his bit. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if it was for Doig or Murphy, because Doig left. It was too easy down in the corner. I think Witherspoon, and he just managed to recycle it back to the fullback, which at that point it's fine. But then Rooney just runs off Murphy, and don't get me wrong, it's like a split second, but Murphy's then trailing him, and Rooney's got time to just drive into the box and get across. And I did like to say Hanlon turned round and went Tonto, and I don't know if it was at Josh Doig or if it was at Jamie Murphy. Quite frankly, it could have been both of them, and that's what I mean. It just was so easy. St Johnstone could have, see if St Johnstone wanted to, say the 35th minute onwards, if they got out of second gear, they could have hammered us.
I think as well.
Because there was, for me, and I know we tweeted it, and I think a couple of examples did turn around, and St Johnstone at Easter Road being one of them, but I think twice in the Cup against part-time teams in Alloa and Cove Rangers, and St Johnstone at home and Celtic away are the only times that we have avoided defeat having conceded the first goal this season. And if you ignore the ones against part-time teams, which is bad enough conceding the first goal, we haven't won from being behind. And Jack Ross mentioned that away to St Johnstone, coincidentally, when we scored in the last minute with Mallon's penalty, I remember he said after the game, people said, like, are you needing to temper expectations, or does it change your expectations? And he said the team sometimes need to be built up. They don't have the confidence in their own ability at times. It's like as soon as something goes wrong, everyone just loses the plot, and there's no swagger, there's no confidence to what they're doing, and it's like the game plan goes out the window. And I think that's what Jack Ross got so angry about. And this interview after the game. So right. Ross is right. to come out and slaughter the players.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion. But to then flip the gasket at the reporter who is rightfully asking, is there anything you've done wrong? Now, when he'd asked that, I'm thinking, surely he's just going to say, aye, like maybe we could have done some things differently. But he just loses it. When for me, he got plenty wrong.
Oh, I did.
And Harry, I know you mentioned it, so if you want to go on a bit more about what he said, what did Jack Ross get anything wrong, or was he in the wrong to go off like that?
As I said, like last week, I thought Jack Ross was going to do his normal. I didn't think Irvin or Cadden were going to play. I thought he was just going to do his typical Jack Ross 4-4-2 and stick to what he knew. He mixed it up and surprised me. And as I said, at halftime, I didn't think that those changes, I wouldn't have had any complaints at them because I think that they were quite effective. The only thing that undone them was conceding from a set piece. But you could be playing a 5-1-4 formation.
The formation doesn't come into that yet.
So I'm not blaming Jack Ross for the first half. But I think from the halftime onwards, it just didn't make sense to me. I think that after we conceded the second goal, Jack Ross seen it as a defeat. I don't think. Well, he put Doidge on after we didn't score after 10 minutes. He seen it as a defeat. He didn't put Allen on to change the game. He didn't put McGuinness on to change the game. I don't know why he put them on.
Minutes in them. I was thinking about this earlier. As soon as we're 3-0 down and playing shit, the game is over. But under no circumstances should your manager be accepting that the game's over. St Johnstone went 3-0 up with 25 minutes to go. You're not telling me if Hibs were 3-0 up in a game and the other team scored that you wouldn't be thinking, oh fuck. Like,
absolutely.
Look, the game is 9 times out of 10 over there. But stranger things have happened.
And see, the thing is, if we're against Celtic or Rangers and you're wanting to get minutes in the legs, fair enough. Put them on, see what they can do against a big team. We're playing against St Johnstone. We're getting battered off St Johnstone. Don't put Scott Allen, who's one of the fan favourites, and chuck him under the bus. Now on his resume, it says he's been beat 3-0 at Hampden. No, he wasn't. The team was dead already. And McGuinness is getting berated by Hibs fans every week for not being fit enough. So put him in a game where he's just going to get slagged off for not doing anything. Nobody could do anything.
I mean, he ends up just doing doggies because all we're doing is launching the ball, and we're launching it for our centre half. St Johnstone are winning the header, and it's going back to Hanlon and Poaches.
I can do that after full time. He does the exact same thing after full time. So why are we putting him in that position where he's obviously said to Scott Allen and McGuinness, "Oh, go and just try and do something." Well, for me, he made plenty of mistakes in that second half. He knows he's under pressure. And that's why he snapped, because he knows he's under pressure. And he knows that things haven't been good enough. And he goes on about, he insults everyone's intelligence by saying, "Oh, well, we want to make amends for the last semi. We'll use that to our advantage, and then we go out and get him beat 3-0. Don't insult the fans by saying silly stuff like that. Like, don't. And I tell you what, see now, he seems like he's out his depth at Hibs. If I'm honest, he seems like he doesn't have a plan B for a start. He keeps changing the system every week. There is no set system that he has that he plays every week. He changes it all the time. He plays 4-4-2 to get overrun in the midfield. Well, what is the point?
Would you say was he right to throw the players under the bus, Dad, do you think? Have you had the chance to listen to the interview with the BBC? Sorry, then. Have you managed to listen to the interview after the game?
No, I was on a
right. Okay.
bad mood.
No, that's fine. So basically, threw the players under the bus.
Scott Allen on was just to give him maybe minutes.
And do you think he was right to do that? And given the situation, because is he going to start against Rangers tomorrow on Wednesday night? I mean, he might, because he might want to spell it.
I really think Allen should start in midfield, and no criticise. I'm not criticising Gogic, but I think he gives the ball away sometimes stupidly.
Just too often.
Oh yeah, and it's like, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're sacking Jack Ross at the moment. I don't think that's good, because he's only what, a year. This is basically his first full year in charge of us. Look where we are in the table, and look where Heckingbottom got us.
Yep. No, that's
we're moving
definitely
in the right direction, but the performances have to dramatically change, and we have to go out, show him what we're capable of against Rangers. Now, I'm not criticising just Doig, but I think he would be fair and left mint. Because he's young, he's got the pace. And then I would have Louis left back.
Yep, and behind Josh Doig.
Yes.
I don't think that's a bad shout, especially given the fact that we're getting absolutely nothing from the wingers as it is. You see in the Kilmarnock game that Josh Doig was our best probably attacking force from, was it left wing? Did he play left back or left wing back against
Play left back.
The thing is, because he's young, a lot of players can get past him.
Yep. He's just maybe not got he might get targeted as well, and I think you've seen it previously against Rangers. Was it Ryan Kent for the Rangers equaliser at Easter Road? He did sort of tear them a new one. That I think that'll be interesting coming when we look towards the Rangers game. Harry, just touching on Jack Ross's interview, and then we'll talk about his future and stuff like that. So I think it was right of him to throw them under the bus, but he was right to come out and berate the players. But I think it was wrong for him not to take any accountability on himself. And I think that it's a slippery slope, I think, like, look at someone like Melker Hallberg, who me and you aren't the biggest fan of, but what can Kyle McGuinness give Hibs in that half hour that Melker Hallberg can, given the relevant match fitness and stuff like that? Christian Doidge not starting, and then the manager comes out and berates the team after the game. Do you think that was the right thing to do, especially given he took no responsibility on his own back in that interview?
It's difficult because I went into the interview, like, I only heard the snippet from where he, like, I've not heard the whole interview. I've only seen like a minute clip or something someone shared on Twitter, and he goes pure daft. But at the start of it, he phrases it as if he's already answered the question that the gentleman's asked. So I don't know, from his perspective, like, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. For me, the problem with Lennon is he started throwing players under the bus, and he started throwing everyone under the bus. It wasn't his fault. It was the players' fault. It wasn't the players' fault. It was Leanne Dempster's fault. It wasn't Leanne Dempster's fault. The fans are just all over us. And as you say, it's a slippery slope. As soon as you start blaming everybody else, Jack Ross is like, all right, the players are crap. Well, what about you? Well, the reporters are crap. Like, it's just not going to work out well for him if he keeps on doing it.
That was pretty much the flow.
There's no point in going out there and criticising the player for having no guts and no balls if you're not going to have any yourself. That's my say on it. That
was pretty much the flow of the interview. Just to sort of, in case anyone's not listened to it, you can listen to it on the Sportsound podcast. It's like a 23rd minute or something that comes in if you do want to listen to it.
They're no sponsor us. Why are we giving name plugs?
Because it's the only way to hear it. He comes out and he says that he thought we played well in the first half. He was fairly happy. We were unfortunate to be behind, blah, blah, blah. And then says that because they asked us if he was angry or frustrated, and he said he was angry. And he said, I'm angry about how we dealt with I think he said last 35 minutes. So I don't know if he's just talking about sort of after the second, like after the third goal. But he says about heart, desire, character, ladder. And then that's probably when you've heard from the guy questions, was there anything you could have done better? He doesn't mention tactics or anything in the start of the interview, and then he just goes 0 to 100 very quickly. And I don't mind my manager popping off at people, and it shows frustration, it shows anger. And I think what Greg said earlier, but maybe he feels like he's out his depth. I don't necessarily think he's out his depth, but he knows what's going to get thrown at him and what's going to get thrown at this Hibs team now, losing a semi-final to a bottom 6 team, who, no offence to St Johnstone, I think they will finish bottom 6, and to a championship team. And I think that, on top of getting scudded by Livingston at Ross County back-to-back at home, I think he's very wary of the label that we've all seen getting labelled at Hibs for years, and that I think could very well be creeping back if it ever even disappeared. And moving into that, Greg, we'll come to you. This will be fun. Jack Ross.
On his future?
Should he stay or should he go? And also, I know you mentioned some other stuff. So is there other factors around the club that are perhaps holding Jack Ross back from being a success? But I think if Jack Ross stays, we'll still finish top 4.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we're ever going to win. For me, I don't think we're going to win the games that you remember. But I think he'll do well enough in other games to sort of keep you all. I think we'll always be on the precipice of doing well, but probably never quite make that step. So I know you think there's maybe some other factors in there as well. So
yeah, I mean, is it acceptable just to be there and not actually really make it? Because at the moment it seems like he's not making it. I mean, the home form for a start is horrendous. Absolutely shit in the bed in 2 semi-finals is unforgivable. And the way we've done it. The first time he showed passion lately was at the weekend when he got arsey with a reporter. He just doesn't have a presence about him. You want him to do something, even shout at somebody. Just do something. But for me, we've not even laid a glove on Aberdeen, and Aberdeen aren't having a good season at all. This is possibly one of the seasons they've really underperformed. And they're still ahead of us, and we've still not managed to beat them. We've not even touched them, to be honest. So what does that say about us? We think we've had a good season, but they know they've not had a good season, but they're still ahead of us with a game in hand. For me, he can't continue because we're going backwards now.
Just in comparison to the start of the season.
Yeah, you get beat 2-0 off Ross County at home, 3-0 off Livy at home, without doing anything in the game. You're going backwards. There's no fight, no character, no spirit. It seems like when we go 1-0 down, that's it, the game's over. There's no bounce back ability. Right, so we came back against Alloa away in the cup. Well done, Hibs, but how many times have we just totally given up the ghost?
Yeah.
And this is the problem. He doesn't seem to get across to the players that winning is so important. You look at other teams that go 1-0 down, they're like, right, we've 1-0 down, let's get back into the game, let's do everything we can. We don't do anything. It's almost like you need to poke the bee's nest to do something because nothing happens. And this is the big problem. The bigger picture is that at Hibs at the moment, there seems to be this mentality of, oh, well, it's okay because we've done this and we've done that. We might have got beat, but we've still done that. It's not good enough. And for me, Graham Matheny needs to have a look at himself as well.
Why? Like in what regards?
So, I understand obviously he can't say a lot when he's on Hibs TV, but against Livy, he kind of sat there and just looked like, well, please don't ask me any questions. I don't want to answer any questions. Why not just come out and say, look, that's unacceptable? And then
it was a bit pointless him being there, I guess.
Yeah, because he can't say anything. To me, from what he's come across as, he seems a bit of a yes man. Now, I know that Jack Ross's class as a head coach, so the signings are between the two of them, I think. Is that right? So they work the signings between the two of them?
So my understanding of it is that they work together as a sort of good, like, obviously you've got a manager, you've got your recruitment department, your scouts, what is his role? Is it sporting director now?
So he's head of football operations or something, as well as being a total and utter charlatan, it seems.
Right. So my understanding is that they identify. So Jack Ross will say, "I want a centre half," and then sort of
get ignored.
Calvin Sharp. I'm going to touch. So say he says, "I want a centre midfielder and someone that can play on the right." And here's what, like, these are the positions I want. I think Graham Matheny probably then tasks people with whoever, I think, is it Calvin Trout, and that to find these people. Do they fit our sort of criteria in terms of the profile, which is absolutely fine. And then we go back to the like, and we maybe go, here's 1, 2, 3, which one's your preference, and go for there. Is my understanding of it, and I believe that's how it worked under Stubbs. I believe we sort of deviated it from it a wee bit under Lennon, especially in the Championship. And I think that's why we then went to Heckingbottom and Ross, maybe people that fit a little bit more to the system. And for me, just before Harry and Darren come in terms of Maffey, I think everything in place at Hibs is there for Hibs to be a success. I think our transfer rate is good in terms of successes and not so well. The biggest worry for me is our manager hasn't identified that we need a centre half. He's now had 3 windows. Is this his third window? This is his third transfer window, and we've still not signed a centre back. Whether he got rid of Adam Jackson or Adam Jackson wanted to leave, we didn't replace him. And he was starting Adam Jackson last season. So, and this is Jack Ross's team as far as I'm concerned. Look, he's shipped Tom James out, Adam Jackson's away. You know what I mean? Like, he's brought in players. As far as I'm concerned, in our lifetime, obviously McLeish definitely got more backing. But in the last 10 to 15 years, I don't think Hibs have spent as much money as we have done in the last 2 years. And I know not all of that's under Jack Ross, but a fair chunk of it is. And nobody can tell me that squad isn't good enough to beat St Johnstone in a semi-final. And for me, that's why it falls on the manager, not so much on Maffey. Harry, what's your thoughts on Jack Ross, and if you've got anything to say on sort of the operations at the back end of things?
I don't think there's any problem with the transfer policy. I think signing players on long deals is a good thing. I think everybody's like, oh, we've signed that McGuinness on a long deal and he's just an injury prone, blah, blah, blah. You've not seen him play. And he's got his injuries so far, but what if he comes out and he's our next John McGinn? Like, you wouldn't be complaining then. For me, it's just obvious. I've said at the start of the season, the whole transfer window during the summer, all I wanted was Kevin Nisbet and a centre-back. And we didn't get our centre-back. And then we've come to another transfer window. All I want is a centre-back. I didn't care who we get. Just get a centre-back. Didn't get it. It's just stupid. But the thing is, for me, with Jack Ross, like, again, we've had bad performances and bad results. But if you sack him now, what's the point? Like, what is the point in doing this? We'll have a manager for a year, we'll sack him. We'll have a manager for a year, we'll sack him. We'll have a manager. It's just stupid. Like, see, the thing is, that McInnes at Aberdeen, it took him like 2 or 3 years to consolidate third place or whatever, like, to actually make it solidly theirs. And now look, like, their fans are unhappy that they're finishing third. Like, it's mental. That's like, if Hibs get to the stage where we're finishing third 5-6 years in a row, fair enough. Get the manager sacked. When was the last time we finished in the top 3? We challenged for top 3 realistically. Like, under Lennon, you could say maybe we didn't. We finished 5th that year. But apart from that, when?
We finished 4th and had a good chance of finishing 2nd. First season back up, we finished 4th and had a good chance of finishing 2nd, and chucked it at the end, losing at Tynecastle.
Aye, but still, like, we didn't finish in the top 4. Like,
no, absolutely.
The thing is, for me, I was firmly in the keep Jack Ross, sacking him just a bit rash. After that game, I can understand the frustrations. I still think it would be a bit rash, but if he did go, I wouldn't be devastated. But the thing is, who are we going to replace him with? I don't think there's an option in which, if they walked into this team, they would shape it up and would be like, all right, that's Barry. If we pushed the boat out and got someone like Gordon Strachan, fair enough, I'll listen. But if we're going for the likes of Jim Goodwin or whoever else,
that's
Stephen Robinson.
A recommendation for yourself. But for me, Jim Goodwin's a poor man's Jack Ross. That he is literally what he's doing at St Mirren is exactly what Jack Ross done at St Mirren.
He's also been at Alloa like Jack Ross as well, so we need to get away from that.
It was literally just a suggestion that, like, for me, I think look, we're not getting into Jack Ross replacements, I don't think, because quite frankly, we've still got Jack Ross employed as the Hibs head coach. But Darren, you've already said that you're very much and you want Jack Ross to stay. Has Saturday and even the recent run of form put any question marks over that for you, or do you think long term he's still the man to guide us to finish in third? And well, if the Scottish Cup goes ahead this year, hopefully doing well in the Scottish Cup.
I mean, obviously we just touched on it. We can't get a manager in a year into his managing us, sack him. Get a new one, sack him. that's no the answer. It might take Jack Ross maybe another year to finally bed in the team that he wants, and for him to finally find what formation works best.
Yeah. I think all points that have been made are perfectly valid, and obviously everyone has their own opinion. And for me, I know I said this to yourselves, Greg and Harry, on Saturday night. Now, Jack Ross is 100 times better than Heckingbottom. But in terms of appeal to the fan base, I think there's starting to be some serious parallels. I look at Heckingbottom came in and he got us off to a lightning start, and then now we had that spell in the split. And even at the end of that season, people were like, he's not the person to take us forward. The football's boring. We didn't win a game in the split. And over that summer, people were already starting to question him. And I think you could look at that and say the Hearts semi-final started to put doubts in some Hibs fans' minds that early on. And then I think there's a real risk that, yes, what day is it? Saturday night's game could well be the Ibrox game under Heckingbottom, where, as far as I'm concerned, I know that Hibs Talk put out a poll and it was sort of 55 out, 45 in. I think Hibs.net done a poll. I think he's lost the support of 50% of the fan base. And from now on, it's going to be hard for him to get that 50% back. Football fans are fickle, and we've seen it already this season after the Hearts game, where as soon as we lose a game, people are calling for his head. And I was guilty of it after the Hearts game, mainly because I was absolutely steaming. And as we calmed down over the next couple of weeks, I had warmed to the idea of Jack Ross. But for me, I'm not convinced. Look, if he was to go now, which he's not, it would have been done by now. We've got a game on Wednesday night. But if he was to go now, I think, could they have any arguments? In the last 10 games against in league games, Aberdeen, Hearts, Celtic and Rangers, we've not won. We've not laid a glove on Aberdeen this season. He's lost two semi-finals in the space of 3 months. And I think Jack Ross is a good manager. And he seems like a really good guy. I think he probably has a really good rapport with the players. I'm not convinced that he can take us where the club wants to be. And I don't think the club lacks ambition. And I'm not convinced that Jack Ross can get a team to winning cups, to finishing third. He might go ahead and prove me wrong this season. We might finish third and win the Scottish Cup. And I guess while that opportunity is still there, then he probably deserves a chance to do it. But I'm not convinced that he has. I don't know. Like, it scares me how half-arsed we've been in games this season at times, in terms of when we go behind and the lack of plan B. Like, you're never going to win things you're never going to go through a season without any blips, and you're never going to win cups without going to go down. Like, if we played Hearts next weekend and went 2-0 down at Tynecastle, it's 3-0 Hearts. It's no 2-2. You're never going to go through a cup campaign without going behind in a game, without facing some issues, like without some adversity. And I just don't think Jack Ross can get a team through that. I really don't. And I really don't like saying that I think he should go. Like, I was delighted when we appointed him, and he has brought us on leaps and bounds from when he came in last November. But all confidence in this team and in this manager I had at the start of the season is gone. It really is. And Jack Ross might be suffering from a long line of disappointments. Maybe it's just in Hibs fans' thing. As soon as some shit hits the fan, they're all like, oh, like, the game's a bogey. But what evidence is there to say that Jack Ross can take us to where, and in my opinion, it's very clear that the club and Ron Gordon want us to be. He's backing the club financially. He's made it perfectly clear that, obviously, at the AGM last year, he had $1 million and one plans, which unfortunately have been put on hold given the full circumstances. But what more can anyone else at the club do to put a winning team on the park? And for me, it comes down to the manager, that I just don't think he can motivate them in the big games. And Jesus Christ, they couldn't have a worse game on Wednesday night to try and get folk back. I mean, if we go and beat Rangers on Wednesday night, it does nothing to repair the weekend, but it would probably make people go, oh, his rant has had an effect. Like,
it would be the most Hibs thing to do as well.
Can I just throw it there?
It would just scream Hibs if we went out and won on Wednesday night.
I reckon Jack Ross listens to the podcast and he's finally taken Big Harry's advice. I'm glad we lost that semi-final. We've got bigger fish to fry. We took players off. We're well rested. We are pumping Rangers on Wednesday. Jack Ross knows. He kens. We didn't need the League Cup.
Absolutely. I swear you're like 3 different people. We are 3 different people. And
the thing is, if we go out Wednesday night, beat Rangers, all the people that want Jack Ross out will go back under the woodwork. And
exactly.
I'll still want him out. Guarantee.
But you still want your dummies out, mate. You've thrown them all at the prams. Of course you want
the semi-final against Hearts, mate. So
they've been put up the
where's your dummy tonight?
So right, next 4 games, you've got Rangers and Aberdeen at home in that period. We've done United and St Mirren away from home. Oh,
12 points.
1.
If we get turned over by Rangers on Wednesday night, which could happen. They've done it to everyone except us this season. Really, did they hammer Celtic in one of the games? They never turned over. I think they dominated them at Celtic Park, but other than us and Celtic, they have pumped everyone at least once this season. They put 4 past Aberdeen, they put 4 past Dundee United, they put 5 past Ross County the weekend. I think they put 4 past Levy.
8 past Hamilton or something.
Like, I don't think they'll turn us over, but they could. And if they did, would it come as that much of a surprise?
No.
If we get beat on Wednesday night, genuinely, the only way that Jack Ross if we lose on Wednesday night, I think in terms of 3/4 of the fan base, I genuinely think he could be done. And I really think he'll struggle because it's
the games against Rangers are now massive for us because there's been this
and especially the Aberdeen game and
newborn rivalry. Nobody wants to be turned over by Rangers. Heckingbottom lost everyone totally after being turned over by Rangers. Jack Ross made such a big deal of playing well at Ibrox. If we get turned over on Wednesday, he's done. He's got to be done.
I think he'll get these 4 games. I think he'll get Rangers, no matter the results. No matter the results in the next 3, he will definitely get the Aberdeen home game. If there's a gap between us and Aberdeen, of 5-6 points, because what is it, 1 point now, 2 points just now?
2.
I don't know who Aberdeen have got tomorrow night, if they've got a game at all, but if there's 5-6 points by the time that we come off the pitch against Aberdeen on the 6th of February, I genuinely think it'll be cuttings. I do. So just to summarise, we've got 2 that are firmly in the Ross in camp. Or Darren, you're definitely Ross in. Harry, you're 70-30 maybe.
I think myself I'm fit. I honestly, I don't care.
Johnston.
So let me pose this question, right? Greg, what would it take for you to still think Jack Ross was the man for Hibs?
We could win the Champions League and he'd still be throwing the nut. We got beat in that semi-final. I love it.
If Jack Ross can find my dummy for a start and hand it back to me, then
that sounded so wrong.
I think, to be honest, for me, I don't know if he can get it back. He has to go out and win the next 4 games. We need maximum points and not just wins, but good performances to show that we can actually turn up every now and then. And if he does that, I'll think about giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Right. And Harry and Darren, to you guys, Darren first. If we lose to Rangers and Aberdeen at home over the next couple of weeks, he's going to be struggling at that point, isn't he?
He will be. But it'll be typical Hibs. We'll go out on Wednesday night, we'll beat Rangers. Be fun if we beat Ken the next 4 games. Be really funny if we go out and win all 4 of them.
That would be magic.
Harry, I'd like just to clarify, I am not that much in the camp of Jack Ross has to go that I would want us not to win a game. Like, if Hibs come in,
I want us to win games of football, Ewan. I'm not that bad.
But,
I'm not going to cut those off to spite my face yet.
But see, when everyone says it would just be Hibs, no.
See, the thing
under
is,
Jack Ross,
there's one saviour that we are all forgetting about. And that one
we could sign a centre half in the next week.
No, that one saviour needs to step up now. Needs to step up and save our season. Nicola Sturgeon needs to cancel football in Scotland. We need null and void. The semi-final against Hearts didn't happen. The semi-final against St Johnstone didn't happen. The season just restarts again in August. Everybody's happy. But
that would possibly save his job.
In seriousness, I don't think the Rangers game's that big. If we go out and get beat 4-0, I think it'll be a big inquest. If we get beat 2-0, 3-1 off Rangers, I'm not going to be that
There's an expectancy to that.
Because this Rangers team, the Rangers we were competitive with, their budget wasn't that ridiculously much more than us. We were playing well against a bad Rangers team in the Championship. Well, by Rangers standards, a bad Rangers team. Yeah, this is one of the best Rangers teams of our lifetime, whether we like it or no. Like, no matter how easy or tin pot people say Scottish football is, you didn't go unbeaten this long, and you didn't win nearly every single game unless you've got a very good side.
Absolutely.
And for me, that Rangers team's good. But you know what? Scottish football's got a funny way of ruining things. Like, mind the time Celtic were unbeaten for like 3,682 games and then went and got beat 4-0 off Hearts. I'm starting the predictions off nice and early, mate. Hibs are going to win 4-0 on Wednesday. You can book it, and I can't wait to see all the seeth in the comments of our prediction post. Hibs 4, Rangers 0. It's going to be.
You're taking the Twitter. You are taking the Twitter that day.
I'm turning notifications off, and you can deal with it.
Mate, I don't care. I'm sticking by it. Hibs 4, Rangers 0, because it would be the most Hibs thing ever, and it would be the most Scottish football thing ever as well.
What was that, Darren? Sorry, I can't hear you, mate.
3-0. Kevin Nisbet scored first.
Go on, Sam.
Right, so we're going for score predictions before we talk about the Rangers game, and obviously we've been on a while now, so we will keep that fairly short. But look, I think what we need to say is that no matter, we all want Hibs to do well, and it doesn't matter who's in charge doing that. We want Hibs to do well, and Hibs could still do well, but we just have concerns. For me, I don't see us winning when it counts. That's the biggest worry for me. And I've seen people saying, "Oh, it'll be so Hibs to go and win." What are we basing that Hibs like? Or what are we basing? We're basing that off of the fact that under Tony Mowbray, we done it. You know what I mean? Like
the fact under Colin Calderwood we managed to do it. So
3-0. I'm basing it off the fact that we've played Aberdeen, Celtic, and Rangers and Hearts 10 times.
You're based off the fact you're in the same buggy as Greg, and you've lost all your dummies as well.
He doesn't want to.
I'm trying to be.
He would honestly rather curl up and die than agree with me, and that is the fact of the matter. I just agree with me because he sees me as big bad negative Nigel, and he wouldn't want to be branded as that.
I think that I can see, like I said earlier, if he left now, I think Hibs would get battered in the media if we sacked him now. But
plus, it'll be too much money.
It'll be a big game.
I think. Like I said, I'm like Greg's 80-20 stay goal. I'm like
that's generous.
65. I'm like 65-35. Like I just. Like I say, I think Jack Ross is a good manager, good coach, probably good guy, but I don't have any confidence in him to get the results when it really matters. And I'm thought like that. And I'm not even just the second half on Saturday is that blows so much out of the water, especially when you look at what happened against Ross County and Livingston at home just a few weeks ago. But anyway, we've done it and we've done it and we've done it. Rangers at home on Wednesday night. Team selection, Harry. We've seen it so far this season that Jack Ross has tried to be consistent with 11s, but I believe we did make some serious changes after the Hearts defeat. Do you think we'll see wholesale changes on Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Aye, Darren, you take it away. What do you think is going to happen, pal?
I think we'll go and we will batter Rangers.
And what team? But what team? What do you want to see, or what do you think we'll see in terms of team?
The team go out and show heart, show passion. Don't go into silly challenges. Don't play side to side and all that gump. And don't play back silly balls back to either Marciano or Macy, because then that's putting pressure on us.
Yeah.
I think
Just get on the ball.
If we get on the ball early from the start and press Rangers, they'll crumble, because they don't like teams going straight at them.
I think we've seen that at Easter Road in the first time we played them, to be fair. I think we've seen that.
Because as you see, a lot of teams, like your Motherwells and a lot of the other teams, they sort of just sit back. And obviously that's then putting pressure on them, whereas when we play them, we hit them on the counter and we make them obviously do silly mistakes. And I think the first goal in that game is going to be crucial.
It's crucial in every Hibs game now, isn't it? That's the worrying thing. But to be fair, I totally agree with that. And like, if we get on the ball and are positive, like, look, I know we lost at Ibrox, but we should take confidence from the second half. We had a lot of control. It wasn't too dissimilar for the first 35 minutes on at the weekend. Like, we had a lot of the ball. We had a few chances, maybe didn't take loads, but I think we've got a good team. That's where my frustration boils down to as well with the manager. I'm like, you should be getting more of a tune out of this squad that we have. You know what I mean? Like, but I think we've got a good team, and I think we are capable of going to get a result. Whether in terms of changes, I think he will change it up. I think the areas where it needs to change, unfortunately, we can't. I mean, after the weekend, you would definitely be thinking about bringing a centre half in for one of them, if not both. But you've not got anyone there to bring in, so I think he'll stick 3-5-2. Well, he'll go 3-5-2 instead of sort of 3-4-3 with, and I think you'll see Marchand on goals, McGinn, Hanlon, Porteous at the back. Rightfully or wrongfully, I think he'll drop Josh Doig. I think Lewis Stevenson will play. But if Lewis Stevenson plays, then it may well be a flat back four. In midfield, it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if Scott Allen and Kyle McGinn start. And
if Allen plays, you'll probably see the Allen that we all know play.
He will prove a point.
He'll want to prove a point. He'll want to be saying, "Look, I'm back from for whatever reason it was. He's back. He's more hungry to stay in the squad, and he'll run around Rangers."
I love your optimism, Dan. I really do. But he did come out. I think he must have been the person who interviewed post game or something. He did. I don't know if you've seen it. I think it was in Evening News. I think Greg Hughes maybe seen it. He says that
basically people are right.
Quite frankly, the people are right to ask questions of us. There's no excuses to losing the two semi-finals, and we need to come out and get a result, put our bodies on the line. So I think that, look, if that's the mentality that this squad can get, they need to prove it first and foremost. They all spoke about how disappointed they were and wanted to put it right in another semi-final. Well, they haven't, and they do need to show it. And I'm not even worried about Wednesday night because I expect us to lose. But if they can come out and actually do something in the game and play well, then it'll be a nice
It's a price.
Maybe a wee painkiller, a nice wee painkiller. Harry, what do you think team selection? And well,
For
you said that
me,
Hibs were going to win 4-0, so what's the 11 that's getting the 4-0 win?
For me, I think that whether you like him, you don't like him, I think statistically, I've obviously not got the data to back it up because that'd be thinking too far in advance. We win more games and we score more goals when Christian Deutsch plays. Whether we
I
like it or not,
disagree.
when he plays, we that's when we've won the bulk of our matches. And in the games that we've not played, Deutsch not playing is not responsible for us getting pumped off Livy and Ross County and
Of course.
St Johnston and stuff. But I don't think it's a coincidence. The shape that we're doing at the moment isn't working. Like, it worked all right against Kelly, but Kelly away from home, they refused to play. They had like one shot at goal and it hit the post. But apart from that, they didn't want to play football. They just wanted to come and play let's draw 0-0 all day. Crap. Against teams that can actually play all right football, the system we're doing at the moment, the thing we need to do, we need Kevin Nisbet on the ball within 30 yards of their goal. That's the only time this Hibs team's looked good all season. Because, as you've said, Murphy doesn't do it, Boyle's no doing it this season. We need Kevin Nisbet on the ball near their goal, and Doidge is good at getting him that ball. And that's the reason Doidge needs to play. Because the thing is, when a team is struggling as much as we are, you need your best player. And for me, our best player is Kevin Nisbet when he's firing all cylinders. So for me, when Kevin Nisbet smashes past his 5th goal on Wednesday, we'll all be thanking Christian Doidge for setting up his 6th assist of the game and we win 9-0 against Rangers. It's going to be marvellous. I'm trying to see how long it is before I can get Greg to break. But for me, I want to see either Doidge or Gullen starting up top with Nisbet. Again, Gullen's a bit of a rad shout because he's not played football since he was like 13 because Jack Ross has demanded that he stay on the bench at all times. But I'd like to see someone partner in Nisbet because I think that's when Nisbet really shines, and I think he's wasted when he's out on the wing.
Yeah, it gives him the option to drop deeper a bit. I think we've seen that a lot. It was at the Hamilton game where he really, really performed well, but then he still got into the box for his tap-in. And just touching on Doidge as well, I've seen that he's like committed the second most fouls in the league or something. But what that does is when we go long, even if he doesn't win the header, it's not coming straight back on us. I'm not advocating committing fouls, but it's like at the weekend, launch, came back. At least if Doidge is there, he's either winning the ball or probably giving away a foul, which it stops a counter-attack opportunity. You know what I mean? So I think, I know he's not in the best goal-scoring form and he does miss some sitters, but he's a threat.
He gets in the spot for it.
He gives you another option. And like you say, if we do go direct, which against Rangers you're probably going to have to. It should be the perfect game for Martin Boyle because Rangers fullbacks are pushing way high. One diagonal behind him and he should have a lot of space in theory. Or hitting it long to Doidge, if he can hold it up and we can go quick, we should be able to get at them. But Greg, before we come to you, don't forget your Jack Ross opinion and just be objective on the game. But are any of you struggling to get up for this game on Wednesday night?
To be honest, I've been struggling to get out for. I was even struggling to get out for the Kelly game as well. To be fair, I think there's just this massive thing about being at home and it just isn't exciting anymore. But we're not. You're like, that time again. I think mum sat down and we're like, here we go again. Like, what's going to happen today? You're not looking forward to it anymore. I don't know how you feel, but I just feel like there's not that excitement there.
I definitely feel like I'm trying to I'd still look forward to it, but it's like I'm forcing myself to. Do you know what I mean? Like force myself and enjoy it. But right, Greg, during the game, what do you want to see from Hibs, or what do you expect to see from Hibs? And give us a score prediction. We've got 3-0 from Darren, 4-0 from Harry.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is play a 3-5-2 for me. Lewis Stevenson, left wing back, Martin Boyle, right wing back. If he wants to play Lewis Stevenson, I think he will though. I would like to see Josh Doig stay in. I think he would maybe suit left wing back more, but we need to press them. We need to put the pressure on them. We're not expected to get anything out of the game, so why not just go and try and stamp our authority on the game early doors and just go and do something. The fans want to see a bit of fight, a bit of desire. Just see for the first minute, just go and put your foot on the ball, be positive, because we're not positive enough. We move the ball too slowly for me. So we need to press them. They hate getting pressed. They can't play like that. The reason they've had so much success is because teams stand off them. So go and press them. Be
I think you have to do
positive.
it. I think you have to be smart with how you do it. I think Dundee United went to Ibrox and just tried to push them all over the place, and they just got absolutely ripped apart. But
Yeah. I think Doidge and Nisbet up front is the best way forward on Wednesday. They've got big centre halves, but Doidge is good in the air. So press them, be positive, 2 up front, and then I'll maybe consider the future of the manager.
right, well, I think that sees us about right. I think we've went on. Look, at the end of the day, we could go and go and go and go, and everyone has their opinions, and everyone is entitled to their opinions. And like I touched on earlier, we all just want Hibs to do well. Hopefully, we come back and get. Oh, sorry, Greg. Score prediction.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to ask me. I'll sit on the fence and go 2-2, but I'm not.
Nah, I'll give you an actual prediction. That'd be
My actual prediction would be 3 or 4-1 Rangers, if I'm honest.
pick one. We didn't do thinking with the heart here. We do thinking with the head. That's what it's all about.
Well, Harry, I don't know what you think, my son, but you are miles off it.
Nah, you pick what you want, mate. I'm just winging you up.
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I think they could really pick us off, but I think we need to press them. So it could be 3 or 4-1 Rangers.
For me,
I hate saying that.
To...
I absolutely hate saying that because I absolutely hate them. But I think time to be honest.
For me, I'm going to go for probably 1-1. I refuse to not back Hibs in a game of football. But I think that does us there. Darren, where can Hibs fans find you on YouTube? What's your YouTube page? What you got going on there?
My YouTube channel is just Darren Phil Thompson, where I interview footballers, managers, pundits, anyone. I also do match reactions, which obviously I will have one out either Wednesday night or for Thursday morning.
Cool. So everyone, make sure you subscribe to Dan. Sorry, Harry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say Dan does do some really good content. He's quite similar. I think he's a bit more grounded than us, and he's a bit more upbeat. I think more along the lines of my attitude towards him as opposed to Greg's. So if you want something a bit refreshing, I definitely recommend Darren. And as he says, he's got some legends on his channel and that. So definitely head over there and give.
I know, but we're definitely going to have to dip into your contact book, Darren, and see what we can do. But everyone, give Darren's YouTube page a follow. The podcast, we're going to give Darren also the Zoom footage and stuff. So Darren, I think you're going to post this up. We'll post it on our YouTube page as well, see how that goes down after getting our first YouTube video out there. And this should be available probably, I think we'll get the YouTube video out on Tuesday. Hopefully podcast might even go up tonight. But thanks again for listening / watching. Hopefully we are back next week having beaten Rangers and then Dundee United away at the weekend. Hopefully we've got 6 points to review. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.